Hi there, Virgo. I'm EllaAradia, and welcome to your May 2026 Psychic Tarot reading. This reading is for my Virgo Earth signs, where we'll be exploring the overall energies and themes for the month ahead, as well as taking a deeper dive into how these might be playing out for you in your life. This is a general reading, so it's going to resonate a little bit differently for all of you. But what I find is there's always a shared theme that runs through the collective of all of you Virgo signs. So it may show up in different areas of your life in slightly different ways, but the theme is always the same. So take what feels aligned to you and just leave the rest. And before we jump in, a big thank you to all of you who are supporting my channel by liking and subscribing. So if you enjoy this reading and you haven't already done that, please do. It helps the channel out a lot. It doesn't cost anything to subscribe, and then you can get notified when the next videos are up. So Virgo, let's jump in. I always like to tune into the energies first, Virgo, before I start pulling any cards. I'm a psychic reader, so I like to see what the universe shows me. It feels like some kind of repeated pattern that's going on to me. And the thing is, it's different this time. So it may be in your existing connection, you know, something that is just continuously playing out. For some of you, this may be showing up actually with a new person. And for me, it's this energy of like, oh my God, I thought I'd chosen somebody different, and it's just turned out the same again. But it's not the same. That's what I'm feeling here. And it's a pattern, I feel, of settling for less than you deserve. Not feeling seen for who you truly are, appreciated, received for who you truly are. So not feeling acknowledged in that way. And ultimately it's a mirror for you, because it's all been pointing to you needing to do that for yourself. And there is this pattern, I feel, of, you know, perhaps being in connections where you didn't really deep down feel in alignment with that person, but somehow they served a purpose for you. And, you know, that might go back to childhood. There might be a little inner child that, you know, perhaps had a parent that didn't show love in the way that they needed. Maybe they were absent in some way. You know, something was missing in that sense. And, you know, there's still a part of you, I feel, which is looking to be chosen, is looking for it to be validated, you know, on the outside, you know, that you are loved. It may be that your needs, you know, weren't acknowledged, or you didn't feel seen, appreciated for who you truly are. And the life lessons, I feel, and, you know, these lessons feel like they've been a feature of most of your life for you, around really learning to love yourself and accept yourself for who you truly are. And sometimes we can have a belief that we can't have love and be who we truly are. And very often it does go back to childhood. It doesn't mean, you know, it was a terrible childhood or anything like that. It can be a very subtle dynamic. And so somehow, you know, staying in a connection, it's what love is, and it's what feels familiar, because we form these definitions, you know, as we're growing up, of what love equals, what love means. And very often that definition is related to how our parents cared for us, particularly our mother, but could be your father also. With your overall energies, we have the Ten of Cups. This is a card of emotional fulfillment, happily ever after, wishes granted, dreams come true, emotional stability and happiness. What lies in your recent past, the Empress, your current energies, the Hanged Man, your feelings towards your situation, the Moon, there definitely feels like, that's why I feel like that this is not quite the same thing in terms of this pattern, because this time you're seeing it very clearly for what it is. You know, the Hanged Man is all about taking a pause, taking a step back and looking at a situation which is showing up externally from us, and getting a new perspective on it, seeing things differently. With the Empress there, that's some kind of new beginning, and it's very much a card of rebirth. And in this case, Virgo, I feel that rebirth is something that's happening inside of you. And it's an invitation to, I feel, really step into a new version of yourself, because there's some kind of situation, you know, where this pattern is kind of playing out again of settling for less. You know, someone who really doesn't see your light, let's say. They're not even receiving you for who you truly are. They're not able to. But somehow, you know, it serves a purpose for you. It may avoid perhaps being alone. It may avoid a fear of being alone by being with them. You know, we very often recreate, you know, what feels familiar to childhood. And this is why this moon is here, because this is often a situation where there's a lack of clarity, and that might be the case for some of you in whatever this relates to. You know, there's questions, there's a sense of perhaps, you know, not knowing where you stand with somebody. It can also represent, you know, healing and really taking a good look at, you know, what might be holding you back from, you know, letting go of what no longer really serves you, what feels unhealthy here, and really having a look at, you know, what those patterns are that might be holding you back from, you know, really stepping into this new version of yourself here with the Empress. This is a rebirth. This is a fresh start. Very nurturing energy. And, you know, I really do feel that this is all about, you know, you nurturing yourself, really embodying these soul lessons of self-love and self-acceptance here. Because what I feel that is going on as a child, that there just feels like there was an energy of not feeling seen, loved and accepted for who you truly are. And so for some of you, this isn't going to relate for all of you. There may have been a behavior that came out of that around showing up in a certain way for certain people, in the hopes of feeling loved and accepted. You know, I'm getting the sense for many of you of, you know, dimming your light, adapting yourself, or, you know, molding yourself to, you know, to fit in, you know, with somebody else's vibration in the hopes of being loved. And that's where the inner child is kind of running the show here, because, you know, the inner child, the subconscious world, it is always in the driving seat, as opposed to your conscious mind. You know, the subconscious is what is actually creating, you know, the experience you're having here. And I do feel that many of you have really become aware of these life lessons. They feel like, you know, really, really life lessons here, something that have been a feature, something that you have been learning for most of your life. And sometimes it takes that long. It takes that long to get that awareness, to understand what's going on. And I do feel that you're doing that, but I feel like the pattern's kind of repeated itself again. You know, I feel like there's just someone who, it's almost like they're very wrapped up in themselves, then they're having their needs met. It's a lot to do with them, not so much to do with you and what you want, what your needs are, your interests. It feels like a very kind of one-sided connection here. It might be someone that's, you know, a lot of fun to be around, and it's company, and, you know, it serves a purpose in that sense. But to let go of it, I feel involves, you know, facing any fears of being rejected or losing love, of not being loved. And the thing to remember here is to perhaps even ask the universe to show you, you know, what will really happen when you choose yourself, when you love yourself and you accept yourself for who you truly are, when you own who you truly are. Because what will really happen is other people will start to choose you in that way as well, because the outside will mirror what is going on in the inside of you. But there might just be a little bit more work to do here. Because I feel like you're dealing with someone who perhaps just doesn't have the capacity to really show up emotionally in the way that you need. It's almost like they just don't have the capacity to love you in the way that you need. And again, it's something I feel that feels very, very familiar to dynamics that may have gone on in childhood for some of you. So in the challenge, we have the Four of Pentacles. This is a card of holding on too tightly, a fear to let go. And it is to really question that. It's often where, you know, we're trying to control things, we're trying to control an outcome. And sometimes there's a valid reason as to, you know, why we might be holding on to something. But it really is to question that. Are you doing that for a genuine reason, or is it actually just fear? A fear of, you know, what might come up inside of you that you might need to face if you were to let go of that control. And to let go, I feel, of, you know, something that is really part of an old version of you, because, you know, this is a moment to really demonstrate to the universe how far you've come, how much you've accomplished in terms of self-growth. And that there really is an invitation here for some kind of rebirth, some kind of invitation to really step into a new version of yourself here, Virgo. And sometimes that involves, you know, letting go and cutting ties with people, places, situations. For some of you, this might relate to a job, a career, you know, where you're not feeling seen, appreciated for what you have to bring. And nothing is going to change unless you change something inside of yourself here. So some powerful soul lessons here. The hidden influence is the Eight of Cups, moving on, walking away, moving on from, you know, something which is not emotionally fulfilling for you, and moving towards something that is, even if you can't see, you know, where the road is leading just yet. It is to trust that, you know, this shift needs to come from inside of you. And when you do that, when you shift your energy in that way, then you will start to experience, you know, the outside mirroring all of that back to you in terms of opportunities, connections, you know, romantic partners, all of that. You know, everything will start to shift for you. And it really is perhaps about having the courage here to, you know, walk a different path. Even if it means, you know, going solo for a little bit. This is about, you know, working on yourself, because ultimately, you know, with this Ten of Cups here as your overall energies, it's you that is responsible for your happiness and your inner world in this situation. You know, you can't wait for, you know, something to happen, someone else to change that. It's about doing that for yourself. With your advice from the universe, the Three of Pentacles. So for those of you that this does relate to career, this is a card of networking. It's about getting yourself out there, collaborating, sharing, you know, your unique gifts, experience with others, you know, towards perhaps a common goal. But that involves you, you know, really owning that in yourself as well. So in your outcome, we have the Two of Swords, often represents, you know, standing at a crossroads, a difficult choice that needs to be made. Sometimes something that we're avoiding, that we're not wanting to see. And, you know, this is where you stand right now. And the invitation here really is, you know, to take off the blindfold and really see things clearly, you know, for what they are, what you're learning from this, you know, because the most important thing always, you know, whatever the situation, whether it's a relationship or career, you know, if you go into every connection situation with the energy of bettering yourself and learning and growing, you always win. And sometimes we can get a little bit stuck, but the invitation is really to actually listen to your heart. See things clearly. Don't be afraid to face the truth of a situation, to face the reality, and listen to, you know, what your heart truly wants in this situation moving forwards. And don't be afraid to, you know, move away from anything that you're settling for less in. So Virgo, I'm going to leave that there. If this reading resonated, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. And as always, no matter what comes through in a reading, moving forwards, always trust what feels right for you. So thanks so much for being here, and I wish you a great month ahead.